Bengals training camp is here with veterans reporting today, which means it's time for the first of multiple roster projections. Who do we have making the final 53-man roster? You'll find out right now on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Hi again, everyone, and welcome into CBT. I'm James Rapine of allbengals.com. Michael Jordan back on my shirt. And, well, football is back in the Queen City with veterans reporting today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, because Wednesday's practice and throughout camp, throughout the preseason, all season long, we will be bringing you the best Cincinnati Bengals coverage right here on YouTube. So why do you ring the bell? So you get notified when we do videos and you get to see those videos and they'll pop up on whatever device you use to watch us. So shout out to you for watching this video, and let's dive in, because the Bengals 53-man roster, this was as tough of an exercise as I've ever had to do projecting this roster. And I've done this for quite some time. Cincinnati Bengals Talk, multiple years now, allbengals.com. We're going into year 4, but even long before that, this is the deepest Bengals team, at least on paper. And let's dive in. And I don't want to spoil it. I have a spreadsheet. I will show you that spreadsheet towards the middle of this. I don't want to spoil all my roster projections, but I will say this. It's a no-brainer. Joe Burrow will make this roster. And so he's our first quarterback. I have them keeping 2 quarterbacks. Trevor Siemian is the second one. I think it could be close between him and Jake Browning. I do think it is a competition between those two guys. I certainly give the edge to Trevor Siemian. Let's go from there to running back, where to me it's Joe Mixon and Chase Brown. Those two guys are locked in. Chris Evans could push for a roster spot, but Travion Williams overtook him last year. And they're looking for, honestly, I think multiple running backs that can man that Samaje Perine role. And I think that's what we'll see, where Joe Mixon plays about 50 to 55% of the snaps. Chase Brown takes 20 to 25. And then Travion Williams makes the roster and takes those other 20 to 25. And it's going to come down to who can pass protect. And I think Travion Williams has the edge up over Chase Brown right now, who's just a rookie, of course, and then over Chris Evans as well. So we will see, but those are the 3 running backs I have making it: Mixon, Brown, Williams, Evans on the outside looking in as of right now. I have the Bengals keeping 7 wide receivers. Obviously, you have the big 3 in Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins. And then after that, it gets interesting. I think Trenton Irwin's going to make the team, made a lot of big plays last year. I think they believe in him. Andre Yosavash is someone that weirdly some have put on the roster bubble. I don't think so. I think he's going to make the team. Stanley Morgan Jr. also makes the team. And of course, 4th round rookie Charlie Jones as well. That means a guy like Trent Taylor on the outside looking in. And I think he has to win that punt returner battle and really outplay Charlie Jones in that area if he's going to make this roster. Tight end. I did an entire video on tight ends on Tuesday, just discussing the position. So we'll be brief here. Make sure you check it out right here on CBT. But Irv Smith Jr., Drew Sample, Mitch Wilcox, those are the 3. I have Devin Asiasi on the outside looking in. We'll see if that's the case, but I certainly think that it could be at this stage. Offensive line, I think Orlando Brown Jr., Jonah Williams, Ted Karras, Alex Kapp, and Cordell Volson are your starters. So there's 5. But I have the Bengals keeping 10. And that's with La'el Collins going on the PUP list. And I don't know how long he'll be on there. I think he's a ways away, though, and could start the season on the physically unable to perform list, which would give them some time to make a decision about La'el. But I have Max Sharping, Jackson Carman, 2 other locks. I think those 7 are locks. And then after that, Akeem Adeniji, Cody Ford, and Trey Hill are the other 3 I have making the team. But this is tough. You have Deontay Smith, who maybe could push for a roster spot, certainly, if he has a good camp. And then Ben Brown and Jackson Kirkland, 2 names to watch on the interior at center and guard, respectively. I could see those guys potentially making a push for a roster spot. Let's bring the screen in here just so you can see it a bit. And looking there, we'll go to the defense now. I have 6 defensive ends making it: Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson, Joseph Osai, Cam Sample, Miles Murphy, and Terrell Basham. This is a lot. And it's because there's just so many options for this defensive line. And so let's group the defensive tackles in with this: DJ Reader, BJ Hill, Zach Carter, Josh Tupou. I have them keeping 4 defensive tackles, 6 defensive ends. Why would you do that? because Jay Tufele is on the outside looking in right now. I think you do that because Sam Hubbard, Joseph Osai, Cam Sample, even Miles Murphy, I think these guys are capable of kicking inside, playing inside some. And so you can afford to miss one of these defensive tackles if Sam Hubbard's going to be able to kick inside regularly, or if you're going to be able to rotate there. So you keep another end on the roster just in case. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just my pre-training camp pick, but I could certainly see Tufele making a push, making the team as the 5th defensive tackle. I think there are a couple other guys that are certainly could be in the running there at defensive tackle. And I'm really looking at Dominique Davis, Devonta Maxwell as well. He's an undrafted free agent out of Chattanooga. We'll see there. Linebacker, I think this is the easiest one because Jermaine Pratt, Logan Wilson, Akeem Davis-Gaither, Joe Bocci, and Marcus Bailey just all seem like locks to me. And so are they really keeping a 6th linebacker? I don't think so. Shaka Hayward and Jalen Moody are 2 undrafted free agents to potentially keep an eye on. But we'll see if any of those guys could make a push. To me, Keandre Jones on the roster as well. I think it's really tough in that linebacker room. Cornerback, Chidobe Awuzie, Mike Hilton, Cam Taylor-Britt, DJ Turner, Sidney Jones IV, and Jalen Davis. This is tough. This is tough because Alan George, I could totally see him making the team. And I think they believe in him and really like his skill set. DJ Ivy really shined during the offseason program. I think they like what they have in him too. It's just, where's the path? Who are you beating out? Like Sidney Jones? Is that the guy you try to beat out? Maybe. But he is a proven veteran in this league. And Jalen Davis signed a 2-year contract, and he's the backup nickel corner. So I think it's tough. I think it's a really tough room to make at safety. I know there's been a lot of talk about safety. I have Mike Thomas on the outside looking in, and he could make a push to make the team. But overall, Dax Hill, Nick Scott, Tyson Anderson, Jordan Battle, I have making the team, and the specialists, Evan McPherson, Brad Robbins, Cal Adamitis. We will see. But overall, that's my first 53-man roster projection. I think that this team is so deep. I mean, because you have guys, Alan George is a guy that on a lot of teams could be their 5th or 6th corner easily. And I'm talking about a guy like Sidney Jones not making the team. He had interest last year. There are a lot of teams that could use a Sidney Jones, and 4 defensive tackles that certainly will stand out. I think from a prediction standpoint, 7 receivers, 10 offensive linemen. I think it's tough. I think that offensive line room is deep, and like I said, the first 7 I think will make the team for sure. Adeniji, Ford, and Hill. They're going to have to show it. They'll get pushed a bit, but I think that's the way it goes. And if La'el Collins does get activated earlier than I necessarily anticipate, well, then it's one of those things where if that happens, it could really change the way that projection goes. But obviously, this is assuming he is on the roster and just goes on the PUP list. So where am I right? Where am I wrong? I know that there are a lot of people that are fans of some of these undrafted free agents. I just don't think that there's many spots, period. I think there's just a couple spots on this roster where you could see an undrafted free agent really making a push. In that defensive tackle room, I could see it. Certainly with Maxwell, I could see it in that offensive line room. I think Ben Brown undrafted last year, Jackson Kirkland undrafted this year. Those 2 guys, keep an eye on them because could they push Trey Hill? Could they push, Jackson Carman is a lock, but Akeem Adeniji, Deontay Smith, I think is certainly on notice. Can he push for a roster spot? That offensive line room is going to be tough to make. And then I mentioned the specialists. I do have Brad Robbins beating out Drew Chrisman. To me, that's a pretty easy one to predict. But Drew Chrisman can go out there and show what he's got, and I think he's going to need to. This is a big audition for him for 31 other NFL teams, assuming Brad Robbins punts the way he did in the offseason program and certainly the way he did during the pre-draft process in his career at Michigan. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a comment, and buckle up. Training camp is here, and we are going to have you covered wall to wall, all things Bengals all the time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sure there were some disagreements there, roster-wise. That will change. I'm sure my projections will change, but those are my initial ones for the Bengals 53-man roster, a pre-training camp edition. So for Andrew Fox Miller, our channel coordinator, I'm James Rapien, signing off for now on CBT, Cincinnati Bengals Talk.